So I had gotten asked, how long have I had POTS for? And I'm in my 30s, so I'm 37, and I've been sick. Like when things got really, really bad, I was in my... I can't tell which way my hair is going here. I was in my 20s when things got really, really bad, like bad enough that I had to like reevaluate my life and look at what I was doing and start advocating for myself full time. And looking back and talking to another POTS patient recently, I've had symptoms of POTS since I was in my teens. So my symptoms started as a teenager. I would get like heart palpitations that would wake me up at night. That still happens to this day. And I would have night sweats. And those are two things that started for me relatively young. So I was probably like, I don't know, maybe 13 or 14. I can't really remember 100%. I just know I was living in like a different area in a city. We had like moved in there recently. So pretty sure I was like 13, maybe 14. And I started having palpitations and night sweats. And those are two symptoms that have never gone away and still plague me to this day, which are, I believe, a part of the hyperadrenergic POTS situation, especially after talking to another POTS patient that has something similar. So I'm interested if other POTS patients have night sweats as well, just as like a, hey, do you have the symptom kind of thing too, you know? So there's that. So having had those for as long as I didn't really think much of them when I was younger. Like it was scary for sure to like wake up with my heart racing, but then it would go away and I'd be like, okay, like it stopped, right? So I didn't think too much of it. But as time progressed and as symptoms got worse, I started to realize that there was something else going on, especially once the blood pressure started getting involved and that started changing and being a drastic thing where it was going too high or it was going relatively low, which is something that happens with hyperadrenergic POTS, is that high and low, which is why I had a hard time getting diagnosed with the hyperPOTS, because it would go low and then they'd be like, oh, you have POTS, but they didn't see the high parts of the blood pressure I was having until they ended up doing a secondary tilt table test. And then I started having so much adrenaline in my body that my body was shaking. It feels like convulsing to me when it happens because it's just like someone's shaking my body and I'm just like going, like I can't even mimic it because the way that it is, it's this uncontrollable jerking of my body that happens, and that's when my blood pressure is too high, and that feels absolutely atrocious. Like it's a terrible feeling, and you feel like impending doom with it, which is also like another hyperadrenergic kind of response. So there's that. I have talked about this Vitacium pill before, which is something that I take. I'm not associated with them in any which way, shape, or form, but they are something that POTS patients are encouraged to take. People with EDS, cystic fibrosis, vasovagal syncope as examples, which is listed on the bottle itself. It is something that I have noticed that helps me. I don't take them every day though, because some days I can't. I already take a ton of pills for all of my conditions, and sometimes I just can't seem to swallow those. I do eat extra salt, and I do eat relatively salty snacks if I need to. But on days that I can't do that, or days where I have been vomiting a fair amount, I find that taking some of those is really good because it helps to replenish those electrolytes, at least the sodium part, and a little bit of potassium that's in there. So there's that. But yeah, the POTS stuff definitely started much younger, and it's not something I really thought about until recently because I was like, oh yeah, I've had those symptoms for so long that they've just been a part of my daily life or like my nightly routine in a weird way because it wakes me up and I'm like, my heart's racing. So there's that. But I'm gonna ideally start a new medication and up my other medication as per my cardiologist, and hopefully that will help me to have less of those palpitations at night, and ideally when I have those low blood pressure moments, taking this new squisher drug, as my cardiologist calls it, It'll ideally help me to feel better because it'll bring my blood pressure up in those moments when it is relatively low, and ideally that'll help in the long run. So a little apprehensive about trying it, but I really hope that it helps, and I really hope I'm not allergic to it, because on the days when I have low blood pressure, I can't seem to get anything done, and I don't really like that. I'm like a workaholic stuck in a sick person's body, you know? And I like to do stuff. I like to keep my mind busy, and on days where I can't, I find I get a little more depressed. Living a life like mine is not really the conventional lifestyle, but I am very happy and content with my life and those in my life who are understanding of my situation, and that I like to make content on the internet, and that I like to stream. We're playing all sorts of scary games over on Twitch. You should come over and watch sometime if scary games are your thing. If not, no worries, you don't have to do it. But they don't seem to cause the hyper-adrenergic response for some reason, which I find odd, because you think that they would, but if I play a competitive game like Overwatch or Fortnite and like I'm doing really good or I'm gonna win or something, that's when I get like the adrenergic episodes. So yeah, not so fun. So I don't play those all the time for that reason. But anyways, that's a total side note. Thank you for being here and checking out my content, and don't forget, if you have questions for me, just ask them in the comment section of any of my videos and I'll answer them either in a video or on YouTube here, because your questions are important. You're important. And remember to go do something lovely for yourself today, no matter how big or how small that thing may be. You're important, and so are your wants and needs. Take good care, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.